Summer, 1975, New York City. The garbage collectors were on strike. Mountains of trash rotted on every corner. The heat was unbearable. The city smelled like death and treats loneliness like currency. One man's isolation will ignite into something terrifying. The question isn't whether he'll break, it's who he'll take with him. This is the story of Taxi Driver. Before we dive into the chaos of production, you need to know where this fever dream came from. Los Angeles. A man sits alone in a dark apartment with a loaded gun on his desk. His name is Paul Schrader. He's just lost everything: his job, his wife, his friends. He hasn't spoken to another human being in weeks. He spends his nights in porn theaters, drifting through the city like a ghost. He's obsessed with firearms. He's having a nervous breakdown. And in just 5 days of furious, almost possessed writing, he channels all of that loneliness and rage into a screenplay. The Pathology of Loneliness, he called it. Travis Bickle was born from Paul Schrader's darkest moment. But Schrader wasn't the only inspiration. The character was also based on Arthur Bremer, the man who attempted to assassinate presidential candidate George Wallace in 1972. Bremer's disturbing diary became a blueprint for Travis's fractured psychology. At first, nobody wanted to touch it. The script was too dark, too violent, too honest. But then The Sting became a massive hit, giving producers Michael and Julia Phillips the clout they needed. Martin Scorsese, still relatively unknown, signed on to direct. And when Robert De Niro, fresh off of his breakout role in The Godfather Part 2, agreed to star for just $35,000, a fraction of what he was being offered elsewhere, the impossible became possible. The previously unfilmable Taxi Driver got the green light. Total budget, $1.8 million. Martin Scorsese made $65,000. Sybil Shepherd took $35,000. They weren't doing this for money. Production began in the summer of '75. The sanitation workers were still on strike. Real garbage, rotting, festering, piled up in the streets. Scorsese didn't clean it up for the cameras. He shot the city exactly as it was. And De Niro? He didn't just prepare for the role, he became Travis Bickle. De Niro actually got a real New York taxi driver's license. He drove a cab for weeks, 15-hour shifts, navigating the very streets where they'd be filming. Despite having just won an Oscar, he was recognized only once. But it gets strange. De Niro carried his prop guns everywhere. In character, always in character. He wore Travis's clothes for weeks, even slept in them. He forgot to conceal the weapons during breaks. One day he walked into a diner with a gun visible. Police were nearly called. The cast and crew, they were terrified of him. They couldn't separate the actor from the character. Method acting had never gone this far. They filmed in the grittiest parts of New York, Harlem, the East Village, abandoned buildings in crime-ridden neighborhoods. Real gang members worked as extras. Actual sex workers were in the scenes. Production hired street people as security just to manage the danger. The atmosphere on set was volatile. Hellish, some called it. Guns malfunctioned constantly during shooting, adding genuine unpredictability to already tense scenes. And then there was a controversial casting choice that almost killed the entire project. Iris, a 12-year-old prostitute, one of the most disturbing characters ever written. Over 250 young actresses auditioned, future stars like Michelle Pfeiffer, Kim Cattrall, Carrie Fisher, Mariel Hemingway, Rosanna Arquette. But 12-year-old Jodie Foster got the role. And ironically, she was the most experienced actor in the cast, having already appeared in dozens of TV shows and films. Still, the studio panicked. Psychological testing was mandated. Social workers monitored every scene. Foster's older sister served as her body double for the more explicit shots. A welfare worker watched the dailies to ensure Foster wasn't even present when De Niro cursed. Years later, Foster revealed that the adult cast and crew were sometimes scared of her because of how professional and unfazed she was by the dark material. But here's a twist. Scorsese knew exactly what he was looking for because he had met Iris in real life. During pre-production, screenwriter Paul Schrader picked up a young woman at a bar late one night. He didn't realize until they got back to his hotel that she was a teenage prostitute and drug addict. Her name was Garth. Her attention span, about 20 seconds. The next morning, Schrader invited Scorsese to breakfast with her. Much of Iris's character was written based on that encounter. Then came the scene that would define the entire film. Travis Bickle, a mirror, a gun, and pure improvisation. Scorsese simply told De Niro to play around with the mirror. What came out was completely unscripted, one of cinema's most quoted lines.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Oh, yeah? Huh? Okay.
But here's something most people don't know. De Niro got the line from Bruce Springsteen. Just days before filming, De Niro had seen the boss perform in Greenwich Village. Then the audience called out his name. Springsteen did a bit where he feigned humility and said, "You talking to me?" It stuck in De Niro's mind, and Paul Schrader, the screenwriter, later admitted, "It's the best thing in the movie, and I didn't write it." As production pushed towards the infamous shootout finale, the tension reached a breaking point. Scorsese himself stepped into a cameo role, the hateful passenger who graphically describes wanting to murder his cheating wife after the original actor got injured. De Niro, sitting in the driver's seat, became Scorsese's acting coach for the scene.
Why are you writing? Don't write! Put the thing down. Just sit.
For the climax, De Niro wore a rubber bald cap glued around a mohawk to create Travis's disturbing final look. And when Columbia Pictures executives saw the footage of that blood-soaked finale, they panicked. They demanded major cuts. Scorsese almost lost his final cut privileges. The film was too brutal, too real. But Scorsese fought back. He found a brilliant workaround. He desaturated the color in the gorier scenes, making the blood look more brown than red, less realistic, more like a lurid tabloid photograph. It soothed the ratings boards just enough to avoid an X rating, and it made the violence even more unsettling. Meanwhile, legendary composer Bernard Herrmann, the man behind Psycho, Citizen Kane, Vertigo, had initially turned down Scorsese's offer, saying, "I don't write music for car movies." After reading the script, he changed his mind. Herrmann crafted a haunting score using dissonant brass to mirror Travis's fractured mind. He conducted the recording sessions himself on the evening of December 23, 1975. That night, he returned to his hotel. He died in his sleep. Christmas Eve morning, age 64. Taxi Driver would be his final work. He was posthumously nominated for an Oscar. May 1976, Cannes Film Festival. During the premiere screening, the audience booed during the violent shootout. But the jury, led by Tennessee Williams, saw something the crowd missed. They saw brilliance. They saw truth. They saw a mirror held up to American society. Taxi Driver won the Palme d'Or, Cannes' highest honor. When Oscar season came around, Taxi Driver received 4 nominations, including Best Picture. It lost to Rocky.
Rocky, a Robert Chartoff, Irwin Winkler production, United Artists, Irwin Winkler and Robert Chartoff producers. Taxi Driver, a Bill-Phillips production of a Martin Scorsese film, Columbia Pictures, Michael Phillips and Julia Phillips producers. And the winner is Rocky, Irwin.
To this day, many consider it one of the most egregious Oscar snubs in history. But here's what makes Taxi Driver so disturbing, so prophetic. The ending. Travis survives his rampage and is hailed as a hero by the media, a vigilante who saved a child. The film's final statement is a biting critique of how society creates and worships broken heroes, how violence gets repackaged as salvation. Scorsese was showing us something ugly about ourselves, and 4 years before the term existed, he'd created the cinema's first incel. A lonely, isolated man who explodes into violence when society rejects him. And then, the film's darkest prophecy came true. March 30th, 1981, Washington, D.C. John Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots at President Ronald Reagan outside a Hilton hotel. Hinckley had watched Taxi Driver at least 15 times. He'd become obsessed with Jodie Foster. He directly mimicked Travis Bickle's behavior, attempting to assassinate the president to impress the actress. The line between fiction and reality had shattered. Paul Schrader's nightmare, Scorsese's warning, De Niro's disturbed creation. It had escaped the screen and entered the real world. Taxi Driver changed everything. It showed that American cinema could be unflinching, psychological, ugly, and true. It revealed how a film could predict society's darkest impulses. Summer, 1975, mountains of garbage, the smell of decay, a city on the edge, and a group of artists who dove so deep into darkness that they almost didn't come back. Some of them didn't. What they created is immortal. You talking to me?
You talking to me?
Keep watching, keep feeling, and never stop chasing the magic of cinema.